Hi, Megan.
Hey Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm having a good week. I have some product reviews for you, but before we get to that,
Yay.
I wanted to talk about the incident we experienced yesterday um, at the school assembly with the
Oh, oh my gosh.
So just to recap for everybody, our kids go to the same school, and yesterday was the end of the year assembly outside, and all the classes were lined up and presenting to the school. And we're standing outside, and I happened to notice this at first I thought it was just one big bug, but it was a massive
Ooh.
bug on one of the teachers' jackets on the back. And I look at you and I think to myself, what's my obligation here? Like, do I have to address this huge bug on this teacher's back? And then you ended up, because you guys have been sick, you had all these Kleenex. I was able to take one of
Yeah.
those from you and
Oh my gosh.
go knock this nasty bug off the teacher. But at first I was like, should I do this or not? Like, am I going to be like the weirdo that causes a commotion at the
No.
assembly?
Oh my gosh. It was so funny. But I love that about you because you see a problem and you just step in and solve it. And you
Oh
were
my
so
gosh.
graceful about it. You just like put your hand on her back and I don't know what you said, but I think you like whispered, you have a bug on your back. I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
That thing was massive. It was massive.
Well, it turns out, that's what I said. I said, ma'am, you have a massive bug on your back. And she goes, oh my God, get it off. And I was like, okay, wait, stay still. So I knock it off. But before I knocked it off, I noticed it was two huge bugs mating on her back.
Oh my gosh. So gross. So gross.
I look back at you and you're just doubled over in laughter at me.
Oh my God.
It was so funny.
I was laughing so hard. It was just like the strangest situation, but you handled it so well and you saved her.
I did save her. I don't like bugs, but I couldn't leave that on her back and just like let that occur. I would feel terrible. So
And
anyways.
to be fair, it wasn't even a teacher we know. It was another grade. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy.
I feel like there's two crazy blondes in the assembly causing a disturbance.
No, I don't think anyone else noticed. You handled it perfectly and you just got it right off of her. I was backing up as you were doing it because it looked so massive and so gross.
You're like, don't come towards me. No, it's gross.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, I know. Yeah, that was so funny. But I wanted to tell you, I got the chance to go shopping at Sephora.
Woo!
And I know I had so much fun. I did bring my 3-year-old. So that was the one thing I was in there. I was like, oh, okay, Sarah's right. Don't bring the 3-year-old in here because I couldn't really try everything I wanted to try. But I did go find the Pat McGrath gondola, which is a term we've used before. Yeah, exactly. It was so much fun. And I got to try all the eyeshadows, and you're right. The application of this stuff, it's not just the pigment, it's the application and the quality, the texture. I don't know what you call that in the makeup biz, but that was amazing.
The consistency.
I loved it.
I think it's just the consistency and that it just lays flat. And I love how it has like a creamy texture, but with a powder finish.
Oh,
it's
yes.
just really high end. I know. I love how you spoke to gondola because it's fun that we're in different industries. And so, in my work, I'm working with other beauty people and we speak to all the industry language. And then in your work, you're with all the psychologists and you speak to the language there. And so I love when I throw in beauty terms like gondola, you just pick it right up. But for everyone listening, that's the space where a brand sits within a retailer. So each brand has their own gondola. And then to take it even further, we'll call it like they have a 3-bay gondola, or they have a 6-bay gondola, or they have a gondola and an end cap. So it's just referencing the space. But Megan, you're just so brilliant. I throw all these beauty terms and you don't miss a beat. You just pick it up. You're like, yeah, I went to those gondolas.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
I
it.
never knew it was called that. It makes communication much easier when there's a word for that thing that you walk up to with all the makeup on.
Yes.
Yes. So okay, now we know it's called a gondola. And yeah, the Pat McGrath one was so much fun. I ended up getting the Celestial eyeshadow palette, which
So
had
pretty.
like I know, I loved it. It had like a rose gold. And I think I've mentioned before, I've been on the search for like the perfect rose gold. And this
Yes.
had it as part of the palette. And then also 3 more fun colors that were came along with it. So I was like, okay, this is the one. Um, it was a hefty price though. It was $62 for just the 4 eyeshadows. So I do see this as being more high end. I do see this being more special. I wouldn't buy everything Pat McGrath probably because it's just very expensive. But I mean, having a few select items that come from them, I think is totally appropriate. Um, yeah. So I just wanted
Yeah,
to
I
mention
love that.
that.
I
Yeah.
think that about Pat McGrath as well because it is not a clean beauty brand. Um, but the products are just so incredible. The pigmentation is incredible. It's just really this luxury item to elevate your makeup collection or your self-care steps, but it isn't something that I indulge in daily. It's kind of a special once in a while eyeshadow palette or their mascara or things like that. But it is
Yeah.
just a really sexy brand.
It is. It is. But I wanted to mention for those out there who don't want to spend this much on eyeshadow, I have also recently tried something Sarah called mass. Is that right? Mass
Yes.
makeup. And I didn't know there's any difference between Pat McGrath and something more mass, I guess, related.
So yeah, mass
Besides you
is
saying that.
mass is more like a lower end, like a lower price point. Within makeup, there's mass brands and prestige, and something like a Rite Aid, they only carry mass. They carry like drugstore
Oh.
brands, and then something like Ulta or a Sephora, they carry mass and prestige. So mass brands are going to have a lower price point, maybe less volume of product within the component. The component is the plastic or metal or glass that's holding the product. And the packaging may be more lower end that can allow for that lower price point. Whereas a prestige brand like Bare Minerals, MAC, Pat McGrath, it's just going to be a step up, a little bit more of a luxury brand.
Got it. Okay. Well, I tried a mass brand, and I think it's a fairly good dupe, at least for the color palette. And it's Pacifica. Have you heard of them?
Oh, yes, yes. And they're a vegan brand. They sell them at Target
Yes.
as well. I really like their they do a nice face mask. Like,
Oh.
it's one of those paper ones that it's wet and you pull it out of the package and lay it on. It's like a cooling face mask. Yes.
Oh,
Okay. So
cool.
did you try some of their eyeshadows?
I did. I got it on Amazon. It was like 18 bucks, and I got
Mm.
28 colors, and I want to say a third of them were shimmer. So
Oh.
yeah, it's not like when I compare it to Pat McGrath, it doesn't get on your brush as easy. Like you have to kind of sort of dig at it a
Mhm.
little bit to get it, but once it's on there and it gets on your eye, I mean, it looks great. I loved it.
Oh.
So,
And how is the
um
wear? Does it last for a while?
it doesn't last as long. I think if you use some sort of primer, that would probably help.
Yes.
I don't even have a primer. I just use my foundation first and then stick it right on top. So,
Oh, I'm going to give you a
um,
primer.
okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't have one. I don't really ever use it. But I think it could help with something like this because it did have a different consistency, but the pigments were gorgeous. Like I really like some of those
Ooh.
colors a lot. I've been having fun playing with it and also thinking to myself, this is on the price point where if my kids wanted to try something and I wanted it to be clean, and this was clean
Yes.
also, I would maybe choose this too for them. So
Oh,
there's options
nice.
out there. Yeah.
I love to hear that. That's nice. Okay. I
Yeah.
haven't tried Pacifica makeup, but maybe I should. I'll check
Yeah.
out
For just
yours.
for fun. Yeah. Check out
Yeah.
mine. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. You know what's
Yeah.
funny is my check-in today is product related as well.
Oh,
I
good.
have kind of been on this hunt for ever since we did our clean beauty episode for a better mascara because as I spoke to, I love the Pat McGrath mascara, but it's not a clean product. And the other mascaras that I recommended that are clean mascaras, the Ilia one and Bare Minerals, they're great, but they definitely are not comparable to Pat McGrath. So I've been on a hunt, and Instagram got me. I saw an ad for the Thrive Cosmetics lash extension mascara. It's called Liquid Lash Extensions. And I had heard of this brand before, Thrive Cosmetics. They came out a few years ago. And the young woman who started the brand, she was in product development for L'Oreal. And she had a girlfriend who unfortunately passed away from cancer at a very young age. And it kind of gave her this need for a greater purpose within the work she was doing. So she started Thrive Cosmetics, and it's cute. They spell cosmetics like Cause, like there's a cause within the cosmetics.
Oh. Oh.
And she set out to have products that are not only clean, but they don't irritate for women who have sensitivities, or women who may be going through any type of medical treatment or chemo, radiation, anything like that. So all of her products are clean, but they're also safe and they're tested against sensitivities, which is really nice.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah. And I think I had stayed away from the products strictly because of componentry. So, kind of what I had said before, the component is what holds the product. And this brand, all of their products are in kind of this dark teal green. It is recycled plastic component. And for me personally, it just aesthetically is not kind of what I'm looking for with my makeup. I love really organizing my makeup closet and having a really organized makeup bag. And I love like really sexy makeup components like Pat McGrath. I love MAC does, even though I'm staying away from their products that are not clean, I love their components. I love
Mm.
Buxom's components, so sexy. I love KVD. They do some really cool components. And Thrive, the components reminded me more of like a Mary Kay type of
Mm.
brand. So I had never purchased anything but from them. But Instagram got me. I was like, man, this mascara looks good. And it's a tubing mascara. So I just got it a couple days ago, and it's great. And I think my point of this check-in is that with when looking for a clean brand, sometimes we're going to have to let some things go. And in this case, it's not going to be the exact component that I love that's so sexy, but the product is great and it's clean and it's
Really?
safe. So a tubing mascara is a little different than a standard mascara. A standard mascara, it's like painting your eyelashes. So when you're using a standard mascara, it's putting paint on all of your eyelashes at once. A
Mhm.
tubing mascara is where the product envelops each eyelash and then you can kind of pull it through to the end. And that's what will create the extra length. Like the molecules kind of lay on top of each other, kind of like if you think about hooking a bunch of paper clips together, they can draw out and be longer. So it will give the illusion of a lengthier eyelash than your actual
Ooh.
eyelash.
Okay.
I know. So to have a tubing mascara that's clean is really a phenomenon. There's not that many on the market, and it's great. My recommendation with it is so when you're putting a tubing mascara on, you want to start at the base of your lashes and then gently wiggle and pull the brush all the way through to the end, a little bit past your lashes to see if it can pull that product up and out. And you don't want to let it dry and then reapply more. So while it's wet, you can apply 2 or 3 coats, and then it
Okay.
takes a little bit longer to dry. So I kind of wave my hand and fan it dry and let it sit for a minute and then do the other eye. And then the great thing about this mascara is it's super easy to wash off. Just with warm water, you're taking a washcloth and wiping it off, and it just very gently comes off. No smudging, no flaking, no kind of trying to have to scrub that eyelid area to get the product off. So
Oh.
I know it's great. I want you to try it. I think it doesn't have the same impact that Pat McGrath mascara has that really like thickens it, but it gives
Mhm.
amazing length. So if you're looking for amazing length, I think it's a great product.
I'll try it. I have seen their ads for a long time on Instagram, and there's a few things I've thought to myself, I kind of want to try that, but I haven't heard of anybody who had tried it. So maybe I'll
Yeah.
give some of their things a shot, especially this mascara. Now, when it comes off of your eyelid with the warm water, does it dissolve or do you actually see tubes on your
Yes.
washcloth?
Yeah, you see little tubes come off. So you can kind of see it. Little tubes are sliding right off, and it just
Oh,
wipes clean. I know. It's if you get this and try it, give it a couple times to play with it because there is more product on the brush. It's a little bit of a bigger brush. And the first time I did it, I got product on my eyeshadow. So then I wiped my eyeshadow and had to reapply it. So it takes a little
okay.
bit of practice. It is a different type of application. But I think it's worth practicing and learning with this one. And I think it's also worth throwing in a component to our makeup bag that's not like the coolest component just because it's a great product and it's supporting a great brand. They give back. They have an incredible philanthropy where they're helping women with in cancer treatments.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just a nice brand to support, and it is a really good product.
okay, that's great. And one more question about that. Do you put it on the bottom lashes or just the top?
Both top and bottom. Actually, I
Okay.
noticed even a bigger impact on my bottom lashes than my top. They just looked so long. I don't know if you can see through the
I was going to
camera.
ask, is it on right now?
Yep,
Okay,
I'm wearing it right now. I'll have to show you in
okay.
person.
Yeah. Oh, it looks
Yeah.
great. I can see your eyes popping actually. So that's beautiful. I love it.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the Instagram ad, the gal in the Instagram ad, of course, they used a model that has really long natural lashes. My lashes don't look like that, but they do look great. They look better than some other mascaras I've tried.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the recommendation. I'll give that a shot. That's
Yay.
cool.
I'm loving
Okay.
all this fun with different products.
I know.
So, welcome everyone to Platinum Perspective. This is the podcast about travel, beauty, luxury, and more. I'm your co-host Sarah.
And I'm Megan. Sarah and I are best friends who put the work in to get the most out of life so you don't have to.
All right. So we have received so many questions on clean deodorant since our clean beauty episode, which is totally understandable as common ingredients in conventional deodorant and antiperspirants are parabens, triclosan, phthalates, aluminum, and talc. In that episode, Megan spoke at length to the dangers of these types of ingredients being endocrine disruptors and how they're not only are linked to serious health issues like cancer and respiratory disease, but they negatively affect hormones as well. So today we are super excited to have Sarah Moret, the founder of Curie, the clean deodorant brand, here with us. Sarah started her business in 2018 with $12,000 from her own pocket. And on March 11th, 2022, Shark Tank aired her episode where she received $300,000 investment from Mark Cuban and Barbara Cochran. Most recently, Sarah has been spotted on QVC selling out her brand's amazing clean products. Sarah is a powerhouse and incredibly magnetic, and we are so happy to have her here with us today. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks for making time for us today. Before we fully get into clean deodorant, and skincare, and Curie, we do have a little segment that we call Rapid Fire, where we are going to shoot some questions at you and get your quick takes on some of our big questions. Are
Okay,
you
go
ready?
ahead. I'm ready.
Okay. So, question one, clean is a word thrown around a lot in the beauty and health and wellness industries. What does it mean to you?
Clean to me, and we actually just wrote a blog post about this on our website, clean versus natural. But to me, clean means safe for you and safe for the environment. So including ingredients that have been tested for safety. So, for example, no hormone disrupting ingredients, no cancer causing ingredients. Um, Clean ingredients can include synthetics, which makes them different from natural. But overall, I would say safe for you and safe for the environment.
Do you personally prefer stick or spray deodorant? And what exactly is the difference?
I use spray deodorant 99% of the time. We sell at Curie a stick deodorant and a spray deodorant. We actually launched the spray for our fitness studio partnerships. We're in Equinox and SoulCycle and hundreds of other fitness studio locker rooms, and they needed something shareable, which obviously you can't share a stick. And so we developed our spray deodorant, and it's aluminum free, it's baking soda free, so great for sensitive skin. And I started using it, obviously, when we were developing the product, thinking that it would just be something used in the locker rooms at studios. But it is amazing. It's my favorite form of deodorant. It's much more refreshing when you put it on in the morning. It's like, just feel it's like a little spritz versus like rubbing a stick of deodorant on. And so I've completely switched. I mean, I still love our deodorant stick, of course, and I still will use it, but I very much prefer the spray deodorant, just the application of it. And the difference is really just the ingredients. Of course, a stick and a spray can both be effective as a deodorant. We use a non-aerosol bottle, so that's something really important to look out for if anyone out there is using spray deodorant. A lot of times, actually, most of the products on the shelves are aerosol, which is not great for you, not great for the environment. And I try to avoid aerosols in everything. So we use a pump spray bottle, and that's really the main difference. It's a liquid versus a stick. And the stick usually has butters and is probably going to adhere to your skin a little bit better. The spray, so like if you are a super sweater, a stick is probably going to be more effective. But if you are not a super sweater, spray deodorant is just nice and refreshing and very European. Everyone in Europe uses spray deodorant.
Oh.
Wow. I might have to switch then.
I
That
know.
sounds
Did I
great.
just sell you? Can you tell I sell
You just sold me.
Can you tell I sell on QVC all the time?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
I've
go ahead,
I've
Sarah.
been using the Curie stick deodorant since I first met Sarah, and I work out, 6 days a week, and I love it. But I just ordered the spray and I haven't used it yet. It's on its way here, so I'm really excited to use it now.
Okay, so the great thing about our products is if you love the scents, which our customers do, like our
Yes.
our coconut scent is our newest one, and I'm in love with it. And I use it. The nice thing about the spray is I can like spritz it everywhere. So I put it on when I put it on my armpits, I go like spritz, 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 and then I do like two or three across my chest. And it's kind of like my perfume now. I don't really wear perfume.
Oh,
I my
I l-
deodorant spray.
I love
Oh,
that because Megan and I have
Yeah.
stopped using perfume because the perfumes that we used had so many dangerous ingredients in it. We realized that spraying it in our bathroom around our small children, that this was just not a good situation for anyone. We've both stopped on using perfume because we
yeah.
don't know what to use.
Well, here you go. Here you go.
Okay, perfect.
Yay.
All of our fragrances are clean fragrances and they smell amazing. And you can the deodorant spray really can double as like a body spray. I joke that it's like a throwback to I don't know if you guys were into Bath and Body Works when you were
Yes.
teenagers, but remember
Yes.
like the body spray at Bath and Body
Yes.
Works? I pretty much created a new version of
I
that.
Oh,
love that.
I do too. Oh my gosh, I used to live in that store and I'm probably full of all of the phthalates still that I received from that
I'm
store.
like horrified thinking
Yay.
about what is in those products, but
Oof.
I sure
I
loved
know.
them when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. They smell good. Okay, question 3. What are your top 3 products that you think people should switch from standard to clean?
I think anything that you're using daily or multiple times a day is the most important thing. And I'll second that with anything that's close to, an underarm, which is close to your lymph nodes and your breast tissue. And you also shave your armpits. Most women shave their armpits, and there can be razor burn, there can be irritation, there can be cuts, tiny little microscopic cuts. So things that are going that you're using every day and are potentially like even getting into your bloodstream, like your deodorant, I would say are the most important. So obviously deodorant. When I was making the switch to clean products, I really focused on things that again, I was using often and were potentially getting into my body. So like mascara, you're putting it on your eyes. Like I don't really want to, and some mascaras can be really have some really toxic ingredients. So mascara, lip gloss, like you're eating your lip gloss and your lipstick. So I like to use all clean ingredients for that as well. So I would say those are my top three.
Ugh, I love that. That aligns with so much of what we've spoke about on the podcast. That's so interesting. Okay, we've already gotten so much more great content from Sarah just in that rapid fire. But let's like go back a little bit. Sarah, could you briefly share about your background and experience and what brought you to create Curie, and then where did the name Curie come from?
Yeah, so I have a very unconventional background for this industry. I worked out of school. I got my CPA license and I was like a certified public accountant. I worked at a big four accounting firm for almost 4 years. And then after that, made the jump to venture capital, which is also just a very finance male driven industry. Worked in venture capital as an associate. So that was really where I got my exposure to entrepreneurship. I was meeting with entrepreneurs all day, every day. That was my job, is to help find new investments for the firms. And that was, I think, the most important step towards becoming an entrepreneur, was realizing like, okay, these people are just normal people. There's nothing like,
Yeah.
you don't have to be a genius. I think I had entrepreneurs in my mind as like these super geniuses that go on and create like, I always looked up to Sarah Blakely and I was like,
Oh,
there must be
yes.
something special about her. Like, I could never do that. And I think I realized through working in venture capital for those few years that a lot of these people are just normal people that have like a great idea and they just go for it. And that's really all it takes, is just like having that idea. And then the biggest hurdle, I would say 80% of it, is just getting the courage to go for it. And that is
Oh.
what most people don't do. And people reach out all the time to me on Twitter, Instagram, and they're like, hey, I have a business idea. I want to start a company. And it's like, I bet most of these people like have that idea and then they never act on it. And
Mhm.
what would have happened if they had just acted on it? So I think that's was a learning for me in that time in venture capital, was like, okay, you just have to go for it. Like that is the difference. Like that is how you become an entrepreneur. You just start.
You
And
just
so
do it.
you just do it. So I had the idea for my company. I was making the switch to clean products. Like I said, I was going to, Whole Foods at the time, like all these cool brands like Ilia, Kosas, like they
Yes.
didn't exist yet. So I was like going to Whole Foods and like trying to find like clean products. And I was
Yeah.
using like Tom's deodorant, which like didn't work at all for me.
No.
I was like smelled terrible at the time. I was like a really sweaty. I had a sweating problem, and I was like the best guinea pig for a deodorant, because I would like sweat through every shirt. I couldn't wear gray. I couldn't wear silk, and I was like, I have to find something that actually works for me, but isn't like has it isn't powered by aluminum.
Mhm.
And that can be something we can touch on later, just like how that shifted since I've made this fit. Like now that I use aluminum free deodorant, I actually don't sweat that much, and there's a reason why. But we can touch on that later.
Ooh,
So
yes.
I just tried and tried and tried, couldn't find anything that worked for me. Ended up finding just through Googling and networking, found a great team of chemists in here in California, and worked for about a year to develop our first formula. And since then we've iterated on it like 5 times, but we're just trying to focus on making a product that's clean, but is focused on people like me and like you guys who are out there living busy lives. Like I'm not willing to smell all day just to use a clean product. Like I need it to be
Right.
effective. And that's really, we're for humans in motion, meaning people who are out there, moms, busy, like career women that need products that can keep up. So that's the background on Curie and my career. The reason I named the company Curie is after Marie Curie, who was a famous physicist and chemist in the 1800s. She was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize, and the only person to win it twice in two different sciences, physics and chemistry. And she was just a trailblazer in a time when women weren't even going to college, and she was like a PhD, had a lab, like she invented some of her discoveries like led to chemotherapy, led to x-ray machines. Like she had some really, really like impactful discoveries that are still here today. And she also had like a family and two kids who went on to win Nobel Prizes themselves. Like I just was really inspired by her, like her ability to kind of do it all. And I felt like she inspired me, and so I named the company after her. And it's also kind of a nod to our focus on, we're not I don't like to fearmonger. I'm not going to run ads scaring people into using our products. Like I really focus on the research, and we put that on our website and back up everything that we say with research and clinical studies.
I love
Yeah.
that. I come from a science background, and I love to dig into the science and try to understand why the change is necessary and what I should be aiming for and what ingredients to avoid and what
Oh,
ingredients
cool.
are
I didn't
okay.
know
But
that you
it's
had a science background. That's awesome.
yeah. I'm a psychologist, but I had one foot in like I was always in the lab doing pipetting
Yeah.
and running labs and running assays and things like that. So it's my happy place. But I do love to understand exactly what we're doing here, what we're dealing with, which is what sort of led me to be interested in this. And I feel like I resonate with what you've just said because I've been making the switch to clean beauty right now. And it's hard. I have tried Tom's, I've tried Native, I've tried so many of these different brands, and they might work for like an hour or so, but then
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to smell all day. And
Yeah.
it's a hard thing.
It's really
It is
hard.
hard. It's just different from like, a body lotion where it's like you don't notice that big of a difference
Mhm.
when you switch from Jergens to a clean brand. It's really the performance products like mascara. Like you notice a really big
Mhm.
Yeah.
difference when it's
Mhm.
not as smooth as you're used to. And I think deodorant is one of those things that people really struggle with making the switch um, because it's performance based, and
Yes.
sometimes you can't get that level of performance with just, I see a lot of brands that are like all natural, like things that you can eat, and it's like, I'm sorry, you just can't get performance when you're like powered by, coconut oil. Like it's just not like that's not going to work for you in absorbing odor and like preventing bacteria to build up. So
Yes.
yes, it is a struggle. It's one of the hardest things. I would say deodorant and mascara are the hardest things to make the switch to clean.
Well, it's funny. I met Sarah about a year ago, and at the time, I was, I mean, I still work out all the time, but I was working out 6, 7 days a week, and I was embarrassed to say that I had tried all these natural brands, and they weren't working, and so I had just defaulted. I was using Suave, and on my first call with Sarah, because we're both in
Oh
the same
gosh,
industry,
suave.
I know, I was so embarrassed. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm switching to clean products. I'm working in the clean beauty industry, but I've just given up on this because the performance is so important, getting through my day, getting through my workouts, and not smelling terrible. But I switched to Curie about a year ago. Love it. It's the only natural, clean deodorant that I've tried that works. And I was in the same position as Sarah, where I was scouring Whole Foods, trying everything they have on their shelves, and nothing worked. So you have an amazing product here. With that, should we kind of jump into what ingredients are you using and what makes Curie different?
Yeah, so it really comes down to the ingredients. Like the formula makes the deodorant,
Mhm.
obviously. And so we are a clean brand, which I kind of touched on, clean versus natural.
Mhm.
You see a lot of natural brands. Those are the ones that are using, ingredients that you've heard of, ingredients that you could eat. Like I said, the coconut oil, like aloe, all that stuff. We switched to clean ingredients about a year in, just after realizing we couldn't get that efficacy. Not only could we not get the efficacy, we also couldn't get like the glideability that we
Mhm.
wanted with just those natural products. And that was what set me on like this journey to understanding the science behind, okay, why are synthetic, the way I would separate ingredients is either it's either natural, meaning it is, where it came from a plant or a tree or the earth, and it's 100% natural. On the other side is lab made ingredients, which are also referred to as synthetic ingredients. So synthetic ingredients sometimes can be sourced from plants. So for example, like propanediol is an ingredient in our products, like that's sourced from plants, but it's not directly from the source. It's usually extracted in some way and then manipulated in a lab using sometimes chemicals, which chemicals are not a bad thing. Like everything is a chemical. It's not, when you hear that word, people are like, what? Like chemicals? It's not, chemicals don't mean like bleach. Like chemicals exist. That's what makes this world go around. Like chemicals are not inherently bad. There are some bad chemicals, but that's what happens in the lab in order to make these synthetic ingredients. And so the synthetic ingredients often can be changed in ways that can make them more effective. And that is why we use them. So
Mm.
I'll give you like some of the examples. We do use some natural ingredients. So in our deodorant, we do have coconut oil, we have beeswax, like these are the butters and the oils that keep it together. And that's also what I was mentioning, like adheres to your skin. So when you put, the deodorant, a stick deodorant on, you can usually like feel it throughout the day. If you
Mhm.
wipe your hand over it, you can feel a little
Hmm.
bit of that like waxy, oily residue. And that's like what's adhering to your skin and helping, even if you're sweating, the oils are not water soluble, so they're not like just falling off of your skin. And that's what most natural and clean deodorants have in their base. And then we have like the actual ingredients that are doing the work to absorb sweat and neutralize odor. So we put sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, a little bit in our stick deodorant,
Mhm.
not in our spray, because some people have sensitivities to that. So we wanted to have an option for both. But one of the like powerhouse ingredients that really is effective for our deodorant and is clean, is a clean ingredient, but is made in a lab, is called triethyl citrate. It is sourced from citrus, but that's a really effective ingredient for us in keeping your keeping your body oil or body odor under control. And then we use some ingredients that absorb sweat, like arrowroot powder,
Mhm.
cornstarch. Those are what are actually like absorbing the sweat that's coming out of your body. But I think an important distinction, and people don't get this at the onset of using an aluminum-free deodorant, is aluminum is antiperspirant. Antiperspirant means literally like antiperspirant, meaning it is blocking your sweat glands from producing or from releasing sweat. So when you switch to an aluminum-free deodorant, if it doesn't have aluminum in it, like right now, that's the only ingredient that can prevent sweating. So by nature, like if you are switching to an aluminum-free deodorant, that means you are not using an antiperspirant anymore. So that's like an important thing for people
Oh,
to know, is like a deodorant is different from an antiperspirant. If you are looking for something to
Okay.
prevent you from sweating, it's not a deodorant. Like a deodorant will not prevent you from sweating. So we never see that ever. Like make that super clear. Like this is a deodorant. This is going to help absorb sweat and neutralize odor and keep you smelling good. It's not going to stop you from sweating.
interesting. I did not know that. So going back to what you were saying at the beginning of the episode about when you stop using aluminum products and that you don't sweat as much now, could you talk about that a little bit? I'm super interested in that.
Yes. Yeah, this is something like I would love to do like an actual clinical study on, because this is just anecdotal, like based on myself, my experience, my team, my customers. We get this all the time. They're like, "Hey, I've been using Curie for like a year and I don't really sweat that much anymore." And that was my experience too. Like I said, I used to not be able to wear gray. I couldn't wear silk shirts. Like I used to have like this is gross, but like I remember if I would be like on my way to work in high school and I could feel like sweat dripping down the side of my chest. Like I was so sweaty. And at the time I was using like secret clinical strength antiperspirant. So lots of aluminum. Like I was using that
Wow.
antiperspirant and it was me. I was super sweaty. And I remember this like up until I even started to use aluminum free deodorant, this was a problem for me. And now like I said, I never have that problem. And in fact, I use our spray deodorant every day. And the spray doesn't have any of those waxes and butters that keep it adhere to your skin. So if you're sweating a ton, like that, it might not be as effective for you as a stick deodorant. And it works for me. And I used to be a
Huh.
super sweaty person. So
Wow.
my theory, and again, this is just anecdotal, and we would love to do an actual study on this, but my theory is that when you're using antiperspirant, what it's doing, like the mechanism is antiperspirant is aluminum salts, and it's literally going inside your sweat glands and blocking your sweat glands from releasing sweat, which is a really natural bodily process that your body, like, it wants to release toxins, it wants to cool you off. So I think that when you're using antiperspirant, it's your body like goes in overdrive trying to produce more sweat to like sweat. It wants to sweat and your body's meant to sweat. And
Oh.
when you're blocking it, it's like, well, uh-oh, like make more. And it's like just trying to get that sweat out and you're blocking it. And therefore it's producing more sweat. So that's, I
Wow.
think,
That's
what
fascinating.
happens when you're using antiperspirant, when people are like, I'm so sweaty, I could never use aluminum free deodorant. I'm like, give it 2 weeks. Like there is a transition period. So this is like another thing we hear all the time. Like there is a transition period. It can be sweaty for those first 1 to 2 weeks because your body has to readjust. It's used to you clogging your sweat glands with aluminum. Let it breathe, like get those metals out of your body. We actually make a armpit detox mask with like clay and charcoal that helps make that
I've
process
used it, Sarah. I love
faster.
it.
It's awesome. It's really what like sets us apart. Our customers love it because they feel like
Yeah.
we're like helping guide them through the process and like holding their
Yes.
hand, helping them get there. And there's that 2 week period that you might be a little sweatier, you might be a little smellier, just like get through it. Plan it for when you're like on Christmas vacation or something with your family, with people that love you, or like, somewhere that you're not in like a boardroom, like sweating. But those two, once you get through that transition, and your body is like, okay, like we're okay. This is now we can operate normally. I see for myself and our customers see that they sweat less. And I think that's why. But again, don't quote me on
Wow.
that because it's not proven. It's just my theory.
That's fascinating. So it's like your body finds its new
Yeah.
homeostasis or sort of where it would be. It settles in there in a couple weeks. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And this mask helps you get there.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure. So, because I want to go buy this. Um,
Yeah, so the mask is like if you flip over the bottle and look at the ingredients, it's similar to like a face mask, clay face mask. So it has
okay.
bentonite clay, kaolin clay, and activated charcoal, along with some like extracts like wakame extract and other ingredients that are really helpful for just detoxing your skin. And really what detoxing skin means is just helping draw out anything that's in your pores or your sweat glands. So it does exactly what a clay mask would do for your face, where it helps clean out your pores, but it's on your armpits.
Mhm.
So it's really helpful to use during that transition because you have that buildup, you have that aluminum salts, those metals still in your sweat glands, and it's just going to help you make the transition faster. But I actually I use it all the time. I used it like the morning of my wedding. I used it the week leading up to my wedding. Every time I go on QVC, I use it a few times, like leading up. It just helps clear out. So if you ever get like, I mean, I just always have had little armpit problems. So
Yeah.
if I ever have like little bumps or irritation, or some people get like pimples in their armpits, it's just like a face mask for your armpits.
I love it. It's
Yeah,
so
Interesting.
needed.
it's a fun product. It's a fun product. We love it. So that's did that answer your question, I guess, on
Yeah.
deodorant?
Yes.
Yes, above and beyond.
So one thing we have uncovered through some research is to avoid products that potentially say fragrance or might have some sort of phthalates in them. And so we're wondering if that's always the case. Is fragrance always bad when it's added to a product? Are there certain fragrances we can look for
Yeah, so
instead?
we get this question all the time from people. The what is, I think there was some research or some podcasts where someone said all fragrance is bad and that word fragrance is a dirty word and you should avoid all products with fragrance and only use essential oils. And that is not true. Like, I have done tons of research on this. I've talked to experts in the industry, and the word fragrance can be so where that originated was the word fragrance. There's what people call the fragrance loophole, where the FDA doesn't require you to list all the ingredients that are in your product that are under, I think, 0.1% or something like that. Maybe it's 0.5%, and they allow you to put that into this term fragrance. And so that started to protect, number one,
Mm.
to protect like the trade secrets of companies like, Marc Jacobs, who has their perfume and they don't want people copying it. It lets them protect their trade secrets and protect their formula. And number two, a lot of times there's a ton of ingredients in fragrances, like they're very complex, so it would take up a lot of space on a product label. So the FDA created this fragrance loophole where you can put the word fragrance on your packaging if all those ingredients are really small percentages of the product. But where it became a loophole is that some brands started putting really terrible toxic ingredients in that were didn't put it on the label, and because they used that word fragrance as like they used it as a loophole for including those product or those ingredients on their labels. So it became a big issue, I would say, in the last like 15 years, where people started just saying, all right, we're not going to use anything that has that word fragrance on it because we don't know actually what's in it. And that's true to an extent. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
there's brands out there that I think it really comes down to like trusting the brand versus, I think when you buy a product and it says fragrance on it, like, think about the brand. What do they stand for? Go on their website, like, do a little bit of research, and you can decide for yourself, like, do I trust that this word fragrance isn't going to mean, they're using endocrine disrupting or hormone disrupting ingredients or super toxic ingredients in their products. It's kind of sad that it comes down to the consumer, like, that we have to
Yeah.
make that choice.
Yeah, thanks corporate
Um,
America.
Right.
yeah, it's like we have to make that choice. But what you will see more and more companies, even like Procter and Gamble and Unilever, if you go to their websites, you can see all the ingredients in their fragrances.
Oh.
They list them on their website. And so we actually do that too. We have the word fragrance on our packaging. One of our like one of the reasons our customers love our products the most is our fragrances. They're really unique, they're
Yes.
really complex, they're beautiful. And with that, like, we do use synthetic ingredients in our fragrances. We don't lie about that. We're not using 100% essential oils. We use a ton of different fragrance isolates and also some synthetic ingredients. And we're really honest and transparent about that. Everything that we use has been researched. We don't use anything we use actually the Credo Dirty List as our kind of standard for our formulators. And so nothing that's on the dirty list. And we put all the ingredients on our website. So although the stick deodorant, when you flip it over, the spray, it says fragrance, you can go on our site and see every single ingredient, how it's sourced. And that has been huge for us in terms of, we used to get lots of people being like, I'm not buying your product, it has the word fragrance on it. And we would be like, no, you don't get it. Like, we're using clean fragrances. It's just a lot of ingredients. Like, we
Yeah.
can't fit it, the trade secret. And we decided ultimately, like, screw the trade secret. If someone wants to copy our formula, they can. It's worth it for that transparency and building trust with our customers.
I
Wow.
love that. I love that. I think that gradually moving away from this blind consumerism. Like there's so much information out there, and there are so many
Hmm.
brands like Curie that are stepping up to the plate and putting their ingredients out there for the consumer to choose. And I think, when we're speaking about clean beauty brands or clean deodorant or clean products that we're using in our home, we've said this before, and it starts with you being the consumer choosing these better
Hmm.
brands, and your dollars going into these types of brands create more of this within the industry. And we have the
Yeah.
power as the consumer.
Totally. And I think like there have been movements like I don't like to fear monger. It's not like if you go buy Dior perfume that it's gonna like cause cancer. Oh, maybe, but I don't know. But there are standards in the US that prevent, people from putting terrible, terrible toxic things in your body. There's IFRA standards, and there's we in the US ban ingredients all the time. So I won't fearmonger and say like, don't use anything that's not clean fragrance. But I, if you can avoid it, it's probably for the best. Like I don't buy any fragrances. I just don't because I'm in this industry, I just
Mhm.
don't trust it. So I'm not gonna buy. I don't wear perfume. I use my Curie deodorant spray as my perfume. Like I said, I just don't buy perfume because to me it's just like not worth it. I don't really know what's in those ingredients, and I don't really trust those big brands. So it's really up to you as the consumer to decide what you feel comfortable with.
Well, I
Wow.
I love that. I know that our listeners know from a few episodes ago that Megan and I have paused on any perfume because we didn't know what to buy. Sarah, I was wearing
There are some clean fragrance perfume brands. There's
there.
like Ellis Brooklyn, there's some clean brands out there, but the problem with a lot of clean fragrance brands is that they don't last. Because some of the
Uh,
you know how some perfumes you spray it on like Chanel.
yeah.
If you spray that on my shirt, it will still smell like Chanel in like years from
Yes.
now. It just lingers on your nose forever.
Yeah.
That is not
That's
natural.
not gonna
There's
work.
nothing natural about a scent that can last years. Like
Oh.
that is those like chemicals and lab made ingredients that are causing me to linger, and I don't know what they are. So I choose not to use it.
That
Wow.
was definitely the products that we were using, but I'm excited to get the Curie spray and start using that.
Yeah. Or there's like I said, there's like Skylar, there's Ellis Brooklyn. There are options for clean fragrance. And also, even if it's not, if you trust the brand, I've heard from customers ask us all the time, like, should I use this product? And someone asks, like, what about Glossier, like their perfume?
Oh.
Can I use it? I'm like, well, it's really up to you. Like they recently reformulated because there was an ingredient that was unsafe in their perfume. So to
Mm,
me, that means at least they're paying attention and
that's
they're
nice.
probably not using banned ingredients in their products.
Mhm.
That's good. That's good to know. So I think we've got a lot of moms as our community has a lot of moms as we're moms. And we talk a lot about deodorant being one of the first self-care items that a parent is going to purchase for a child entering puberty. And we get into this in some of our previous episodes, and we will in future episodes. But unfortunately, little girls specifically are entering puberty so much younger than even our generation did. And we know that the ingredients in some of the conventional deodorant can disrupt their hormones. So we want them to get their intro into deodorant through Curie. Which product would you recommend? Like for a mom of a 8, 9, 10-year old little girl or little boy, which product in your line would be the go-to?
Oh my gosh, I love when people email us and tell it on Instagram or whatever, tell us that they bought Curie for their daughter and it was her first deodorant ever. I'm like, it warms my heart because I
Oh.
remember so vividly my mom being like, all right, Sarah, it's time to use deodorant. And I remember being like, I can like see the packaging. It was that like, I can't even remember the brand, but it's purple packaging. And my mom was like, here you go, honey, like time to use this. And I
You
was so
stink.
proud. I was so, I know, Sarah, you smell. No, but I was like so proud because I felt so adult, like putting my deodorant on
Yeah.
in the morning. So I love that moms and dads are buying our products for their kids. We actually do have a lot of moms and dads that buy our products for their kids. White tea is actually the most popular scent for the
Oh.
teens. I don't know why. It just we hear that a lot, that people buy the white tea scent. Our white tea scent was actually the first product that the first scent that we ever launched. So it's still a crowd pleaser. I would say coconut and white tea are two best selling fragrances. So definitely recommend starting with one of those. And in terms of the best product, I mean, stick or spray, a lot of people just buy both. You can use them together. A lot of our customers use them together. They'll use the stick deodorant every morning, and then the spray is like something you can throw in your bag. And if you want to freshen up throughout the day, like, I'll go play tennis and go meet friends after, and I'll just like spritz. And it's like a little way to freshen up and smell good. So I think having both of them is what most of our customers do, honestly. So that was
Okay.
what I would recommend.
I
It's the
love
stick and
that.
the spray.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good to have alternatives too. Sometimes you just feel like a little spritz here or there just to spruce up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
you can use them together. It's like
Yeah,
they're complementary. The spray is like a body spray as well, so it's great to just have around.
nice. Um, One thing I wanted to make sure we asked you about was your experience on Shark Tank. I read about some of that, and I've seen some of the footage. But is it true that you only had 2 hours notice before you went on? Because you seemed so calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, it was like the most on brand thing ever that I happened to be hike when I got the call from the producers to go
Yeah.
film Shark Tank. So what happened was I was a standby or stand-in, basically. Like basically I was an understudy in for the season. If there was like an opening that I would get to fill it because I lived in LA at the time. So I was like 15 minutes from the Shark Tank where the Sony studio where Shark Tank it gets filmed. And so they were like, all right, since you're local, we're just going to slot you in when we have time. And so I was like, great, it's like awesome. Basically, I had to be on standby for 2 weeks. And they were like, stay by your phone. We'll give you like a couple hours, like 2 to 3 hours notice. And then you just got to get here, full hair and makeup, ready to go.
Wow.
And I know it was crazy. All the stuff that's like, if you watch the episode, you can see like I have like a whole set that was already there. So like they had me deliver that ahead of time. So I just needed to get myself there, and I had to have my hair and makeup done, ready to go on by the time I got there. So we were nearing the end of the 2 weeks, and I still hadn't gotten a call. And by then I was like, this isn't going to happen. Like that's I wasted all this time. I was like really upset about it. I was like, "Ugh, I wasted all this time preparing, and like I'm not even gonna get to film," and I kind of gave up. And so that 2 weeks, for the first like half of it, I was like not drinking any alcohol. I was eating really well. I was sleeping really well. I was like trying to get myself in tip top mental shape for Shark Tank. And then by the end of the window, I was like, well, this isn't going to happen. And I went out on a Saturday night, like had a couple margaritas, had some fajitas. Like I woke up, I had like salty fajitas and woke up like bloated and just like hungover. And my husband and I had plans that Saturday to go, or no, it was a Sunday. Had plans that Sunday to go for a hike with friends at Griffith Park in LA. And we were at the top of Griffith Park, which is a pretty long hike from the top to bottom. And I got the call from the producer. Like, I am
Oh,
Of
not
course.
making it up. I have photos of us on this hike, and they called me. It was like 1 o'clock, and they were like, "Hi, Sarah. Like, can you be here in 2 hours?"
Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
And I was like, "What?" So I actually said no, because I was like, I am like not feeling like I had that like hangover cloud. I was sweaty, I was dirty. I was like, this is not. I had my hair in like a messy bun from like hadn't washed my hair in 2 days, and I was like, I can't do this, no way. And then my husband like ran over and was like, "Was that Shark Tank?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Did you say no?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, there's no way we can get all the way back to Santa Monica and like get ready in time for that. And he's like, "Call them back right now and say yes." He's like,
Oh.
I Google mapped it. We can get home in 40 minutes. I will go like get you a cold brew and get while you get ready, and then I'll drop you off at the gate." And I was like, "Okay." I literally called back and was like, "My husband said I can do it."
Oh,
Oh,
It
I love
sounded so,
that.
I was like a little kid. I was like, "Oh, never mind. My husband said I can." So we just like got in the car and I literally got there and like I got ready. I finished getting ready in the passenger seat of his car and then got dropped at the gate like right on time. And they whisked me to the set and I just went right on. It was crazy.
Oh,
But
and
that's why I
you
think I was so calm because I was like, I
you
work
didn't have
well under pressure. So having that
yes.
pressure was like perfect for me. My adrenaline was high and I was feeling great.
And you did
wow.
incredible. We'll link the
Thank
Shark
you.
Tank episode on our Instagram. I've been a Shark Tank fan for years, and that episode is phenomenal. And it was so on brand. But Sarah, you're so
Yeah.
passionate about it. And if I hadn't already met you, that would have sold it to me right there. I'd be like ordering the
Yeah.
product. It was amazing.
I know. I was like, I was hiking
Yes.
2 hours ago. And at the end, like the part that has gone viral on TikTok like a million times is the part at the end where
Yes.
I get a deal and Barbara Corcoran like lifts my arm and smells my armpit on
Oh
Yes.
my
TV.
gosh.
It's really great.
Oh,
And
it
she's like,
was
"Oh, it smells good." I was like,
Hey, hey.
yeah, it's
yeah.
proof right there. It was perfect. It was amazing. I think that Sarah, you are such an inspiration to so many people, and your story with Curie is just incredible. I think we definitely just need to ask for anyone that's listening, do you have any advice for starting your own business, being an entrepreneur, and then maybe more specifically in an industry that's outside of where you were working?
Yeah, I mean, I have so much advice. I think the first thing is just, like I said, just you just got to start. That's
Hmm.
what holds most people back. It's like the conditions aren't perfect, or like I haven't figured everything out, or I don't have the money, or whatnot. I just didn't let any of those excuses stop me, and I designed our first like packaging on my own. I'm not a designer. Like I created our website on my own. I'm not a developer. Like I just figured it all out. There's so many tools out there nowadays.
Hmm.
Shopify, like Klaviyo, like all these tools make it so easy for even just regular people that aren't experts at designing or experts at email marketing to just get started. So I think that's the my number one piece of advice is like just get started. Definitely helps to choose a product like mine that isn't really expensive to manufacture. Like if I was making computers, like I probably wouldn't have been able to start it with $12,000 of my
Yeah.
savings. But because I was making deodorant, like it's a low price point, like I was able to start with just putting my savings into the manufacturing run. So that's also something to keep in mind. Like if you're going to be starting something, like try to find, if you're going to bootstrap and self fund it, find something that's not going to be a tremendous amount of money to start. And I think e-commerce is so great because
Mhm.
you can spin up a Shopify store in like a couple hours. It's so easy. And just start selling. And I started with my friends. Like I sent an email out to all my friends and anyone I had ever known. Like I went through my whole Gmail like address book and reached out to old coworkers, like anyone that I had known, sent an email to and was like, "Hey, I started this company." And that's what got us like my first like $5,000. And then it just kind of grew from there. People started telling their friends about it and then their families about it and then they told their friends about it and it just kind of like slowly spread. I will say like another piece of advice is like you see all the like overnight success stories all the time. We were not an overnight success story. Like I have been doing this for almost 5 years and it's really like it was really hard the first three. Like
Mhm.
the first 3 years, I say like it was like pushing a boulder up the hill. Like every
Oh.
single month, like it was so hard and to get the momentum. But then once we did, it's now like crazy. It's the difference in the last year has been just outrageous. Like it's I think all the time, but I almost gave up so many times along the way because I was like, this isn't working. We're not growing fast enough. And I'm like, thank God I just kept going because now it's stuck and we're doing really, really well. And I am grateful that I didn't give up, even in those years where it was kind of a slog, honestly. And I hear that from a lot of people. And those little overnight success stories are kind of few and far between. Like the
Mhm.
reality is most companies take years to like really gain momentum. So just make sure you're not looking at oh, I started my business and did $100 million in 18 months. Like that's
Yeah.
not the norm. Those are the
Right.
outliers.
One thing I read that another piece of advice that you had given to some outlet, I can't remember what I was reading, but you said make sure your idea has legs before you quit your day job. Like
Yeah,
go ahead and
yeah, I didn't
try.
quit. I didn't
Yeah.
quit my job until I think like a year and a half or 2 years in. And I'm really glad that I didn't. Like, just it's enough pressure starting a company, but if you're not able to support yourself financially without that company, like that's even more pressure. So
Mhm.
I didn't pay myself a salary until just a few years ago, and I didn't really have employees. It was just my sister was my first employee. She's still at the company.
Oh.
Oh,
So it was just my sister and I, and then like a freelance social media person for a really long time. And so our overhead was low, and that's like what made it possible for me. Like I said, those first few years were really hard. And, there were months where we lost money, and there were months where we had negative growth. And I don't like if I was full time on Curie, that would have been like even harder.
Mhm.
But because I had a job and I had a salary, like I was able to be patient. So yes, don't quit your day job or find a day job that you can do both. Like I had a I had a lot of flexibility in my job, so I was able to work on Curie like nights and weekends and even sometimes during the day. So that's a great piece of advice is don't quit your job too early. Unless you go out and raise money. Like there are other
Yeah.
paths. Like some people raise venture capital funding, and in that case you're going to want to quit your job and go all in. But
right.
I didn't do that. So I wasn't able to like go all in until I could financially support myself with the business.
Mm,
I
okay.
love that. This has been so much fun, Sarah. This episode
Yeah, this
has
is so
been
fun.
thank you. It's just been
Yeah.
so informative, not only on switching to products that are better for us. Megan likes to say, we're always trying to what's the exact word you say, Megan? We're always trying to
We're trying to have progress but not be perfect.
progress but not be
Ah,
Yeah.
perfect.
love that.
So
Yeah.
here's an
Love that.
opportunity to our community to have progress in using clean products, but not be perfect. So we're going to link Curie's website as well as their social media, and we're going to link that Shark Tank episode on our Instagram because it is super informative, but also just really inspirational. Sarah, you're an inspirational person
Thank you.
overall, and your story is just amazing. You mentioned TikTok. We haven't tapped into TikTok yet. We know we need to, but I think, are you guys really big on TikTok as well?
Yeah, we have a TikTok. I mean, our Instagram following is bigger. I think most of our
Okay.
customers are on Instagram. It's just TikTok's a great channel to
Yes.
find new customers because it's easier to go viral on TikTok than it is on any other social platform.
Huh.
Okay, good. Well, maybe this is a
Good
good
to know.
Yeah.
takeaway for us.
I
Yeah, you
know.
guys should get up on TikTok for sure.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on such a needed,
Thank
successful
you.
brand. Where can we purchase Curie products?
You can buy our products on our website, so curiebot.com. And if you take our deodorant quiz, there's a link on the site to take our deodorant quiz. It'll help you like find the right product for you. And there's a little discount at the end. So take the
Ooh.
deodorant quiz. And then we also are right now we're not in any physical retailers, but come August we'll be in all Walmart stores nationwide.
Ooh.
So you
Wow.
pretty
Congratulations.
soon.
That's
Thank
excellent.
you. So pretty soon you'll be able to buy our products in all Walmart. So
Fantastic.
for now, CurieBod.com. And then you can find us on social media. CurieBod is our handle on all the channels. So give us a follow on Instagram.
Nice.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for being here. Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for
you.
tuning in. Please rate, like, and subscribe. Catch us on Instagram and Facebook at Platinum Perspective Podcast. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.